Prince Harry, thank you for speaking with the BBC just as the court decision is out, which obviously didn't go in your favor. I want to start by asking what this means now for your family. Will you no longer take your children back to the UK?
I think it's probably too soon to tell and too soon to say. But obviously pretty gutted about the decision. We thought it was going to go our way, but it certainly is proven that there was no way to win this through the courts. Wish someone had told me that beforehand.
Going into this interview, Prince Harry clearly had a plan. After years of public fallout with the royal family, endless headlines, and strained relationships, this was supposed to be a reset, a moment to come across not as bitter, but as someone seeking peace and understanding. Reconciliation seemed like the goal, or at the very least, an attempt to look transparent and thoughtful in front of a UK audience again. But from the start, the tone felt off. He opened by admitting he couldn't even watch himself on TV. It came across as self-deprecating at first, but soon tilted toward defensiveness. Harry claimed he just wanted to put the record straight, but for many, this sounded like the same old script. Viewers were left asking, how many times is he going to set the record straight? His tone throughout the interview flipped between somber and smug. At times, he sounded genuinely frustrated, especially when discussing how Meghan had been treated. He said all she tried to do was uplift the family, to invite them into an illuminated worldview, but instead of sympathy, it sparked more confusion. Phrases like that made it sound like he still hadn't grasped why people were turned off in the first place. He painted himself and Meghan as misunderstood outsiders treated like trash by an old-fashioned institution. He was emotional, yes, but there was also a lack of self-awareness. When discussing the tension with the royals, he offered little in the way of accountability and leaned heavily on blaming others. One moment that caught attention was when he described the royals' culture as entrenched and formal, which he pushed back against. But again, it wasn't what he said, it was how viewers picked up on a tone of superiority, as if he saw himself and Meghan as culturally more advanced, more enlightened. Another awkward beat was when he discussed the US appearing to mock American constitutional amendments, calling them bonkers. That didn't sit well with audiences on either side of the Atlantic.
I would not have taken this far if I didn't have compelling evidence of facts that reveal why the decision was made.
Instead of sounding like someone who was remorseful or ready to build bridges, Harry came across as someone still very much nursing a grudge, while also trying to win sympathy. That contradiction made the whole thing feel forced. But what was meant to win hearts raised eyebrows. The backlash came fast. British media headlines didn't hold back. The coverage wasn't just critical, it was outright brutal. Harry was called arrogant, out of touch, and even delusional. One outlet described the interview as a PR disaster in slow motion. Another compared it unfavorably to Prince Andrew's infamous interview, warning that Harry may have done even more damage to his public image. Clips from the interview went viral within hours, but not in a good way. The most circular ones showed Harry rambling, interrupting, or getting emotional in ways that felt out of sync with the questions. One viral snippet included him insisting he had done nothing wrong, to which the reaction was swift and sarcastic. Even some of Harry's usual supporters weren't impressed. On social media, former defenders said they were disappointed or embarrassed watching the interview. Some called it too much too late, while others said he should have waited until he had something new or meaningful to offer. The general feeling was that people were tired of hearing the same narrative without any growth or new insight. And Harry's attempt to appear humble didn't land. Instead, many saw someone still caught up in his own bubble, trying to repair his public image without actually addressing the damage he helped create. And if Harry thought Hollywood would offer him a softer landing, he was in for another rude awakening.
I actually couldn't believe it. I thought with all the disagreements and all of the chaos that's happening, the one thing that I could rely on is my family keeping me safe. And not only did they decide to remove my security in the UK, but they also signaled to every single government around the world not to protect us.
It wasn't that long ago that Harry and Meghan were Hollywood's hottest new imports. Big Netflix deals, a high-profile Oprah interview, magazine covers, everything pointed to a royal couple fully embraced by elite American circles. But lately, there's been a shift, a quiet one, but hard to ignore. Take a look at recent major red carpet events and awards shows. Not only have Harry and Meghan been absent, but they're barely even mentioned anymore. Where once they were the center of attention, now they're just not part of the conversation. Their names don't carry the same buzz. Even when they do attend, the coverage is minimal compared to the frenzy they used to stir up. Behind the scenes, the signs are even clearer. Industry insiders have been noting that the couple's projects haven't exactly lit up the streaming charts. Their Spotify deal was cut short, and their Netflix content hasn't gained the traction many expected. In a town driven by numbers and influence, this kind of drop-off matters. Talk show hosts, too, have started poking fun instead of praising them. What used to be polite curiosity has turned into light mockery. The royal drama that once captivated audiences is now seen by many as tired. There's a sense that Hollywood's elite have moved on to the next big thing, and Harry and Meghan aren't it anymore. Even their circle of celebrity supporters seems quieter. Public shout-outs from A-listers have slowed, and while there hasn't been any major fallout, the silence speaks volumes. It's not outright rejection, but it feels like distancing. Like the novelty has worn off, and that's the problem. Harry and Meghan's brand has always relied heavily on being talked about. When the noise dies down, so does the power. And when both your homeland and your new home are giving you the side eye, you've gotta ask, what's really going on? If there's one theme that's followed Harry through every interview, documentary, and memoir, it's this. He's the misunderstood one, the black sheep, the man who tried to do the right thing only to be punished for it. But the more he leans into that narrative, the more people start questioning it.
I think there's a lot of other people out there, the majority, that also don't want history to repeat itself. Through the disclosure process, I've discovered that some people want history to repeat itself, which is pretty dark.
In the BBC interview, he made it clear, again, that he and Meghan had been trashed by the institution, misunderstood by his family, and let down by the press. He framed himself as someone trying to rise above it all, but here's where the contradiction comes in. While he claims to want healing and understanding, he's still taking shots, still making public statements that keep the drama alive. You can't call for reconciliation while also fueling the fire, and that's exactly what critics are pointing out. There's also a lack of clear accountability. Yes, Harry talks about therapy and growth, but rarely does he take real responsibility for his own role in the public breakdown. Instead, there's a repeated focus on how he was wronged, how he was forced out, how he had no choice but to speak out. And while that might resonate with some, to others it just sounds like deflection. This pattern hasn't gone unnoticed. Commentators, former fans, even neutral observers, they've started calling it out. They see a man stuck in a cycle of blame, always explaining but never really reflecting, and the more he repeats that cycle, the more people start to tune it out. There's a point where sympathy turns into skepticism, and for Harry, many feel that moment has already come. At this point, even casual viewers are asking, does he want peace or just attention?
Security was made conditional on having that official role. That role that everybody knows, that myself and my wife wished to carry on, but was stopped from being able to do that back in 2020.
It didn't take long before viewers began drawing comparisons between Harry's interview and Prince Andrew's infamous sit-down with the BBC back in 2019. That interview became a textbook case of how not to handle public scrutiny, and some royal watchers are now saying Harry just followed the same path, only with a different tone. The awkward pauses, the emotional swings, the defensive posture, it all reminded people of Andrew's attempt to control the narrative only to end up digging a deeper hole. While Harry didn't deny anything scandalous like Andrew did, the overall vibe left many questioning his judgment, especially when it came to choosing when and how to speak. Sources close to the palace say some royal insiders were left mortified. After years of trying to keep internal matters quiet, Harry once again aired the family's dirty laundry for millions to see. But this time, it didn't come across as brave. It came off as bitter. His remarks about the monarchy being stuck in the past and the UK press being part of the problem didn't help either. At a time when the royal family is under increased scrutiny, and with King Charles and Princess Kate facing ongoing health concerns, Harry's comments were seen as adding more tension at the worst possible moment. And the timing couldn't be worse, with family health rumors and royal tensions already high. This interview might just be the final nail in the coffin for Harry's relationship with the royal family. While things were already strained, insiders now believe this public appearance has sealed his fate. Not just in terms of formal royal duties, but even personal reconciliation. There had been speculation that a return might be possible down the road, maybe a shared appearance at a charity event, or a private gathering behind palace walls. But after this latest PR move, those possibilities seem distant, if not completely dead. Some of Harry's own remarks carried a sense of finality, a tone that felt more like resignation than hope. His face, especially when discussing his father and brother, looked tense. He said he still loved them, but his words were undercut by his repeated criticisms. That's what many picked up on, the emotional conflict, almost like he knows he went too far, but doesn't know how to step back. People close to the palace say the family is tired. Tired of the interviews, tired of the blame, and tired of watching personal moments become public content. And whether Harry intended to or not, this appearance felt like a line being crossed. Again, and as cameras cut away, the man who once walked behind his mother's casket now seems completely lost himself. Do you think Harry truly wanted to make peace, or was this another chapter in the blame game? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you're new here, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. That's it for today. See you in the video.